up, Brown here. Here I am in my container. You know, now I can finally do some projects again and yeah, get on with it. Everything's gonna be back to back to normal. Alright. The quarantine continues. In this exciting episode, I discuss DIY tools, the tools I use in my videos, and in what order you should buy them if you're doing jobs at home. Let's start with the handsaw. Obviously a hand tool, but I think it's worth mentioning. The drill. I fix most things with the drill nowadays. It's handy for putting in door handles and a very versatile tool all round. The multi-tool. This tool lets you cut things that you otherwise couldn't cut. Say there's a skirting on the wall and you don't want to remove the whole skirting, the multi-tool will let you do this. The level. A good way to make sure that everything on site is plumb and level. The nail gun. As a homeowner, a finishing gun is probably the one to go with. You're likely to do a lot of skirting, architraves, and a finishing gun would be the most efficient way to fix them. And the table saw, one of my favorite tools on the list and one that everybody should at least consider. You can cut things that you would otherwise struggle cutting with the following tool, which is a circular saw. Circular saw is one of the basics. Great for ripping things, great for trimming timber, an all-round handy tool to have. It has its limitations, however, more on that soon. And finally, the miter saw. This will help you get clean, repeated cuts. It will help you be consistent, and it's just a good tool to have. So let's categorize these tools in terms of usefulness and cost. So this graph shows the usefulness of the tool going along the bottom here. The further along, the more useful. And up here shows the price. The higher up, the more expensive. In a perfect world, all the tools will be over here. Very useful and very cheap. Let's start with the handsaw. It's fairly useful, but a little bit one-dimensional. So I'm going to put it down here. The drill is a little bit more expensive, but you'll get a little bit more use out of it as well. And then the circular saw. I'm going to trim this top 8 list to a top 4 list, a DIY top 4 list. But first, these are the top 4 tools that I would choose. I would keep the table saw, miter saw, drill, and the level. It wouldn't be easy, but if I had to. A miter saw is all about accuracy. As a carpenter, I not only have to be accurate, but I also have to be efficient. People are paying me to do my job. So I'm going to get accurate cuts for architrave, skirting, decking, framing. There's so many things on a house that a miter saw is good for. The table saw, again, accuracy and consistency. See, I personally think a table saw is an underrated tool. I myself didn't have one for the first 10 years as a builder. I used them whenever they were on site, but I never had my own one. And as soon as I got it, I realized I should have got it sooner. See, with a circular saw, you have to hold the timber while you rip it and keep it steady. The table saw is the opposite way around. You take the timber to the saw. The saw is stationary. A drill is obviously crucial, especially as a carpenter. I fix a lot more than I nail these days, and the advantage of fixing with a screw is you can remove it. And the level, I don't think I could charge for my services if things weren't plumb and or level. It also doubles as a straight edge as well.
You can hear it.
Yeah, you can hear things crunching. But if you are just starting out, these are the 4 tools I would get. I would chuck in a circular saw, I'd put the handsaw back there, and then I'd get rid of these. These are maybe later tools. So the reason I chose those 4 for DIY is you're not going to use them as often as the carpenter's top 4, if you will. See, for a pretty low cost, you're getting 4 crucial tools that'll be very useful for DIY work. You might have noticed that the nail gun isn't a part of this list, and it's not because you don't necessarily need it. Like, say you're redoing all the fencing around a property, you're going to want to buy a framing gun. All right, now that the string line's set up, we can nail on all the palings. If you're planning to redo all the architraves and skirting in a house, you're probably going to want to buy a finishing gun. But the thing to consider about a nail gun of any kind is the price. See, the thing is, you can get all of these tools for the price of this. And if you've already got these and you want to get more tools, I probably wouldn't start with a nail gun. Alright, so brands. Okay, brands do matter, but they don't at the same time. If you get any of the top 4 or 5 brands, you're probably fine. The ones I'm familiar with are Makita, Milwaukee, DeWalt, Bosch, Hikoki, Hitachi, Festool. You're going to be sweet if you get any of those brands. Some of the other DIY-centric brands like Ryobi, I haven't really tried, so I can't vouch for, but I've heard good things about a lot of their tools. Festool I probably wouldn't go to if I was in the DIY market. A bit too expensive for what you get. They're expensive for a reason, they're quality, and if you're a professional, they're a good option. So if we're thinking about brand when we look at these top 8 tools, you've probably guessed my brands already based on the video so far, but here they are for the sake of record. For both the drop saw and table saw, I can recommend DeWalt. I've had nothing but DeWalt drop saw and table saws, and they've worked for me really well. And you can get them for a pretty good price as well. Keep an eye out at your local merchant. They probably got deals on every now and then. A handsaw, you really can't go wrong with whatever handsaw you choose. Just get whatever's handy. Look for like a general purpose saw with sort of medium-sized teeth. Level, I highly recommend Stabila. Stabila levels are great. They come with a 10-year guarantee, and they're just really good quality levels.
It's good, it can come that way like a mill, but good.
Nail gun, I've sort of bounced around with nail guns. I had Paslode for years, and more recently I've gone to Hikoki, and I really like them. Yeah, that's way better, eh? And this is like the ultimate test in New Zealand. Hard native timber. So there's one important thing to consider if you're getting a drill, multi-tool, circular saw, and a nail gun is what battery platform do you want? I've got a Hikoki nail gun and then Makita drills and circular saws. It might be best to stick with one battery platform. It'll be more cost effective for you and a lot easier. You charge one battery, it can go to all those tools. And a good one to start with would be Hikoki, simply for their nail gun, if a nail gun is high priority for you. If a nail gun isn't high priority for you, I can definitely vouch for Makita. Most of my tools are Makita. And any of the other ones are pretty good too. Bosch is great, Milwaukee, DeWalt. Don't get too hung up on it though. Maybe research the particular tool you're after and see what people say, but don't get too hung up on the brand. I didn't include some of the basics in this video, like a hammer and a square, measuring tape, etc. This video is more for people who want to consider some of the carpenter's tools that we use as professionals. There are some other tools you could consider depending on what your needs are. A reciprocating saw, if you're taking a door out or removing part of a wall, a reciprocating saw is a key tool. But you're probably doing more serious renovation if you are considering that tool. An electric sander is another tool that you could consider. And another tool is the track saw. I think every builder should have a track saw, but every homeowner doesn't necessarily need one. However, if you plan on installing your own kitchen, a track saw is worth the investment. And also, this is one carpenter's take. Let me know in the comments below what your top 8 would be. So yeah, I'm gonna have another exciting episode very soon. In the meantime, pop over to my Instagram if you haven't already. It'd be cool to engage with you guys, see what projects you guys are working on. I might use that in the next exciting episode actually. I've got some ideas. And also, I would just like to end with a big thank you to everyone who watches, and in particular the people who donated on PayPal and Patreon. That I greatly appreciated. Thank you. Oh, and also, this video here, if you enjoyed this exciting episode, you might enjoy this one. This is tools that I would recommend if you're starting a building business. Kind of related to this episode, so I thought I'd pop that down there for you. Alright, cheers.